Husayn is the lantern of guidance and the ship to salvation, and the ship to salvation. إن الحسين مصباح الهدى وسفينة النجاة.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to our dear brothers and sisters, and welcome once again on Lantern of Lights program, Muharram Summit, titled Wisdom Behind Grief Through Karbala. I would like to extend my heartfelt condolences to Imam al-Mahdi Ajallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif on the martyrdom of his great-grandfather Aba Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam. And I would also like to extend my heartfelt condolences to all the mu'mineen and mu'minat around the world, as we have been commemorating the Ayyam-e-Azah during this Shahr of Muharram. And of course, we are still in that state of mourning and grieving as Ashura lives on. Now, I'm sure you have been all tuning in to our amazing series during this month of Muharram. We've been unpacking some amazing and brilliant conversations and topics with our esteemed guests from different backgrounds, and they have shared through their expertise different conversations revolving around the theme of the wisdom behind grief, in context with Karbala, of course. Now, today's topic is a more personal topic, and it's from a personal perspective. A special guest who will be joining us and who will be sharing her personal reflections from her inspiring journey. Now, when we talk about grief, grief often leads to a process of self-discovery as well. And as individuals grapple with the changes in how they see themselves and the world around them, after a significant loss, it could be any type of loss. It could be losing someone. It could be losing out in a relationship. It could be not being able to achieve your achievements or accomplishments in life, and maybe you have to sacrifice your dreams to prioritize your family. And there are many factors that come in. So sometimes what happens is that that person does no longer remain the same person that they were before. They may struggle to reconcile their current self with their previous identity. However, this journey of self-discovery redefines their roles and relationships and their abilities. And grief is not linear for everybody, but rather involves allowing oneself to fully experience the range of emotions, from sorrow and loneliness to joy and independence. And it requires self-reflection to uncover new values, strengths, and priorities, as well as patience and self-compassion as one rebuilds their sense of identity. Now, on today's program, inshallah, this is exactly the conversation that we will be unpacking. I would like to welcome our very dear Sister Siddiqa Najafi, who will be, inshallah, sharing and taking us on her journey that changed her through grief and brought in this transformation. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Siddiqa, how are you today?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. I'm good, alhamdulillah. I'm looking forward to having this conversation with you. And I hope I can do justice to the topic, inshallah.
Inshallah, definitely. Once again, I would like to extend my heartfelt condolences to you too during these Ayyam-e-Azah, and let us pray that may Imam Husayn, accept our azadari and may give us the tawfiq to continue to do so, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Ameen, inshallah. So, Sister Siddiqa, thank you so much for joining. And I really want to start off with asking, when we talk about grief, there are, different types of grief, of course, in our lives. Everybody, has their own personal experiences. Someone can say that, oh, I have this grief because I lost a very close person. It could be my parents, my siblings. Some say that maybe, they had a very personal dream that they wanted to achieve, but they had to sacrifice it. It could be, for whatever reasons, family reasons, societal reasons, whatever. I would like to start off by asking you that, is it really possible for one to discover themselves, their true identity through grief? First of all, that's the first question. And then, of course, we will move on to asking about what your journey of grief was and how you transformed yourself. So, first, let's ask you that, is it possible for one to discover themselves, their true identity through grief?
Thank you for the question. I think self-discovery is never ending, first of all. It
Yeah.
never stops. The destination, when we say, oh, this is my destination, the journey itself is the destination. So the more you go into the journey, the more you see this, the destination changes all the time. Is it possible for someone to discover themselves through grief? Yes, it's very, very possible. It happened with me. But there has to be that innate feeling of wanting to become better. Because when you realize that you are going downhill with grief, and grief is what? Loss, right? It could be through death, as you said, or loss of a relationship, be it, a divorce or lose friendships, or even any kind of relationship that breaks down, that you grieve through that as well. It's loss of anything. And I've been through a bit of both, where I have lost my dad almost 10 years ago. So it'll be 10 years in the month of August for him. And also loss of friendships, where that was a loss as well. That was me grieving as well. So a lot happened in that space in the last 10 years, where quite a bit of loss has happened in my life. And I thank Allah, because if it wasn't for the guidance that I got from God, I don't think I would be where I am right now. I truly believe that Allah has guided me to be where I am right now. I could easily, just now, I could easily be very depressed on antidepressants and in what we call the victim mentality.
Yeah.
Feeling sorry for myself.
Sorry. Exactly.
That, oh,
This is
this
something
happened
what
to me.
this is common. Like, usually we do this. Yeah, true.
So and I was that. I won't lie about that. Initially, I was that. So I had my dad who died in 2014, and he suddenly passed away. And a year later, there was a neighbor of mine that I was very close to. She passed away. And a few years down that, I lost friendships. And so all of this just surmounted. And when it all mounted on top of me, because I hadn't dealt with my dad's death, I didn't know
Yeah.
how to deal with it. I came from a very dysfunctional background. So
Okay.
emotions was something that we were never taught how to regulate our emotions. So the only
Yes.
way I knew to regulate my emotions, or I thought was regulation, was either crying or being really, really angry. Not realizing that is part of grief that I'm going through, and not knowing that it's the only way I know. It's the
True.
only way I know. I don't know any other way. I didn't know whether, okay, I need to sit down, I need to talk to somebody. And I had, even after like my dad died, I had no support as such, from friends or family. Maybe because people didn't know how to give support.
Yeah.
10 years ago, in terms of support or going through something so profound like that, was not something that was paid so much attention to. We always say, okay, yes, it is destiny or whatever Allah wills happens 100%, but that is where we stopped. We don't know what emotional impact it has on the person. And I
True.
think 10 years ago, a lot of people were unaware of the fact that people need support through loss, whether be it friendship loss or death, anything like that. 10 years down the
Absolutely.
line, I see a lot of people supporting everyone, bringing each other up, and being there for each other. So
Yeah.
I had to navigate through this journey by myself. In a way, maybe it's a blessing because it's made me independent. At that time, it
Yes.
was like, oh my God, I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm alone. Why? Not knowing that Allah is with me all the time.
Right.
And now
Very true.
looking back at it, I'm thinking, nobody but Allah guided me through this. Nobody but Allah guided me through this. A lot of the times, we think that when we go through something so deep and so emotional and so painful, at that time we get angry at God. Why me? Now, in retrospect, when I look at it, I'm thinking, I am so glad it was me. I am so glad it was me. Because one thing I realized over time to where I am right now is yes, death is painful. It can cause upheaval in your life. But if you understand how Allah works, then death, in my humble opinion, is the ultimate expression of Allah's beauty. Because if I were to look at it, if there was no death, that means we wouldn't age. That means the world would be densely populated. That also means we would probably get tired of each other quite quickly, because somebody's alive forever. There's no death. But death
True.
is the ultimate expression of Allah's beauty. That's what I look at it as, and I think it's so beautiful that we have something as beautiful as death. And this is me talking 10 years after my dad's death. So it's taken me
True.
this long to realize what death is.
It's true. You know how at that moment one doesn't realize that, this can be a huge blessing for me. This can be something that if 10 years later on, the way you're saying, 10 years forward, 15 years forward, if I'm going to recall this same moment, I'm actually going to be so proud of myself that, how strong was I to have, endured that pain and that hardship at that time. Because look, today, I am standing here strong. I've understood what had happened. My mind, processed it and comprehended. And, I'm able to gain wisdom out of it. One realizes sometimes very later on, as you said. And I think that is the key point. Usually, when we react and, we say, oh, why did this happen to me? And then, as you said, that, you feel very special that Allah, because Allah, thought that you are capable enough to be able to bear that burden. Like Allah, as it is, Allah does not burden a soul more than it can take. So He knew that you were the right and the perfect person to be tested for with that imtihan, as we say, and you succeeded. Siddiqa, I just want to ask you, like, how old were you that time when your father passed away, and are you like the only sibling in your family, or do you have siblings who were there in this phase?
So I was 37.
Okay.
I have 3 other siblings, and we were all like dispersed. I have a brother who lives in America, and I have 2 younger siblings who live in Dar es Salaam. I'm the eldest, and I think I struggled the most out of the 4
Yeah,
of
because
us.
you're the eldest. I get it.
Yeah.
I already got the whole point. Me being the eldest as well, so I understand. It's true. The responsibility comes way ahead. Before our age, and especially I think as being women, as being girls, the maturity level always hits higher. So it's true. I can completely understand. Now, can you tell me how has your journey of grief had an impact on you overall as a person? Like, what changes came about in you?
So I'll just give you a background before I go into that, if that's possible. So I came from a very dysfunctional background, very academic, but very dysfunctional, and very angry, very, very angry, and brought the anger into my marriage as well, by the way. So, but I think the biggest blessing that Allah has given me is the husband that I have, who is amazing, who is a complete polar opposite of me, and the children that I have, my kids. I have a son who is 25 and is married. I have a daughter who is 21. And
MashaAllah.
I couldn't thank Allah for the gifts that He has given me in my life. And I think as my kids were growing up, I was a very protective mother, at the same time, very open-minded. You know, we live in the West, so there's a lot of information that we get that we have to then actually address those issues at home as well. My kids, when my dad died, my son was only 15. And he saw me go through what I went through. And surprisingly, the way that boy dealt with the way I was, when I think about it, I think, oh my God, I have truly been blessed. Because when the environment at home is not right, a lot of things can go wrong. A lot of things can go wrong. My son was at his peak in life. He was a teenager. With me being dysfunctional after my dad's death, a lot of things could have gone wrong. And a few years after that, I realized that I needed therapy. And I took the plunge to getting therapy. And I know that until now, a lot of people in our communities think of therapy as taboo. It's a taboo subject. And all I say is that, let's say, Sakina, if you and I are best friends, and if I'm going through something difficult in my life, I'll pick up my phone, I'll call you, and I'll discuss my issues with you.
Absolutely.
You have your own challenges in your life, right?
Yeah.
I'm discussing those issues with you, and you can only guide me so much, right?
Right.
This, in essence, was therapy. In essence, it's therapy. If I'm talking to you, you're listening to me.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Exactly.
Me. Exactly. Just listening to someone itself is a therapy, not just listening to people.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, it's so important to find a platform where you have someone who listens to you without judgment, because we so easily judge everyone. We're all guilty of that because we're human beings. You know, we fall into that, we get into that pitfall of judging people. And I wanted to be where I wanted to understand myself, why I was the way I was. Why am I so angry? Why haven't I gotten over Dad's death? Why is God doing this to me? Why me? Why me? And I took that plunge of therapy, and it was the best decision I made in my life. And now I think, why not me? Why not me? I am so glad it happened to me, because if it didn't happen to me, I would still be in ghafla. I would be living completely blinded by everything. But this particular experience opened my eyes to a lot of different things, where I then decided, we're in 2024, right? So last year, I decided to become a life coach.
Wow,
and
amazing.
I thought, okay, I want to become a life coach because now I have come to a point in my life, in my journey, that I want to do something to help people.
Right.
And so both my husband and I did a course of life coaching. And even then, when we were doing the course, there were so many realizations that happened, so many introspections that happened during the course. Because it's not just about looking after everybody else or whoever comes to you, a client. It's not about that. It's more about you introspecting. It's more about that. And again, a lot of other doors opened up for me. And because I love reading I've read so many books on human psychology, understanding yourself, your emotions. So a lot of realizations came through that as well. And I just feel in my heart right now that as though God is present. So no matter what I'm going through, if I'm going through a tough time right now, I know God is there and He's going to sort it out. There is no way He will leave me alone. No way. In everything that I do or in everything that I have done, there's God's hand in it. And out of that, there has been beautiful results. Beautiful results. My dad's death, loss of my friendships has brought me to this. And I think it's nothing but beauty. It's just beauty.
So thank you. You know, I really love the point how you said that one should really have that strong tawakkul and faith in God. The fact that you mentioned about friendships, you see how when this is my own personal experience as well, like you know, starting from the school days up until the high school days, then university, you know, we always think that we're gonna be together, like, you know, all the friends, you know, we're gonna be together, we're gonna get married together, we'll have families together, you know, everybody has that sort of thing. But what happens is that, you know, our lives take different routes and diversions and directions. You know, people get married in different cities, someone moves out for their studies or career, they want to expand. It could be businesses, whatever, and you know, somewhere we lose out and that touch with our friendships, you know. So yes, it's true, sometimes it's also painful that way, because the memories that we cherished once upon a time, you know, we sort of have to let go now, not that in terms of memory, but we're not in touch anymore. We don't even ask each other like, where are you, how are you, we're not that much in contact. So this is a very good point that you've highlighted, how friendships also are very important in our lives, and especially to have the right circle of friends. I think that is very important. Like, it's not a must to have 100 and 200 friends, but to have even those 2 3 people in your life, but whom you know you can rely upon, and whenever you're in need, they're there for you, you know, at your doorstep, you know, no excuses, nothing, they're just there for you. So that is really a true blessing. If you know you have these 1 2 friends in your life, I think that is also, it's a huge blessing, and we should really value such relationships. Now, tell me, what are some unexpected ways you found comfort during your grief?
Unexpected ways. Okay. So I am an extrovert by nature, which means I love being around people.
Okay.
I take my energy from being around people, from talking to people. Unexpected ways, I have had to practice to learn to like my own company. You talked about friendships, right? How friendships are
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
And one thing I realized, and I've got an amazing circle of friends right now. And as you said, quality is better than quantity. So I have quality friendships. But there's 2 to 3 things. One, I realized that nothing is forever except for Allah. So whether you lose your friends or you lose your loved ones through death, this is Allah reminding us that, look, nothing is eternal. Only I am eternal. So come back to me. Come back to me. I am here. I'm here to guide you. I will listen to you. I'm your friend. You know, I will be with you, whether you're sleeping, whether you're sad, whether you're happy. I am here. So that realization came to me that Allah is there with me 100% of the time. That doesn't mean that I don't go down and I don't, you know, I forget about that sometimes. I'm human. And then something happens and I think, no, this is a reminder from God. He is there with me all the time. And sometimes I do that. I sit in the car and I talk, God, you're doing this to me because you want me to realize that you're there. You just want me to realize that you are there and that you are forever and that you're with me. Whether I'm alive or dead, you're going to be with me. So that's number one. Number two, what I did was I took comfort in being alone. Initially, it was very, very difficult, extremely difficult. Because when you're alone, they say an idle mind is a devil's workshop, right? When you're alone, or you have this waswas, constant doubts coming into your mind when you are completely alone, your mind goes to places. Initially, it was like that. It was so difficult. Oh, I need someone to sit with me and talk to me. Now, I love going to coffee shops. And one of my teachers, Nasimanti, she knows that. So, and you will find me sitting alone in coffee shops, just having my coffee and either reading something or listening to something for half an hour, 40 minutes. And I've realized that is my precious time. Me, 20 years ago, if you told me that Siddiqa, 20 years down the line, you will be sitting alone in a coffee shop having coffee, I would have freaked out. I would be like, does this mean I have no friends? I will have no friends? Does this mean I will have lost all my friendships? Because I'm a keeper when it comes to friends. No, it doesn't mean that. It means you are comfortable in your own company.
Yeah. I think it's just this misconception that we have in our heads. Like if you find someone, being, solo on their own, just, trying to enjoy, have their precious time, as you said, with a cup of coffee, no talks, nothing, just, enjoy the sound of nature or just in your own quiet zone. It actually recharges your mind from all the thoughts that are running in your head. You just want that peace, that stop, that pause button in your life. So it's like a factory reset. Even I really love this. I do this to myself a lot of times, be it at home also, sometimes, with our children, also with our own family. When the daily routine really like hits you, one really just wants to shut down. And it's not a bad thing. It's just that you're refueling yourself so that you can energize yourself for your family once again, so that when you're back at home, you're not throwing tantrums and your frustration and your moods on them, because that is also not good. So yeah, that's a very good way to do it.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing, and I think about, how we always say that now that we're in the month of Muharram and we just did Ashura yesterday, how we always feel sorry for Imam Husayn. Oh, he was alone, he was alone. No, he wasn't. If you have Allah with you, can you ever be alone? He was never alone. He may have been alone in this worldly life, in the way we look at things physically. Yes, he was alone. But was he really alone? He had God with him. He had God with him. If you look at Bibi Zainab as well, was she really alone? No, she wasn't. And it is the understanding of the presence of Allah is what takes you through everything in life, be it whatever is happening around the world with all the wars that we're seeing. Ashura, perfect example, or even post Ashura with what the women and the kids experienced. And Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, they had God on their side, and that is where their strength came from. And like the other story, for example, or the other realization that I have recently had, that I share a lot with my friends and my family, and it's the same thing that I share, is the story of the strength that I get is the story of Prophet Musa. When he was, when the army of Fir'aun were after him, the tawakkul that you're talking about, right? When the army of Fir'aun were after him, and then they come by the sea, and there is no going. There's like Dario. There's either you die this way or that way. There's death both sides, yeah? The army catches you, you're dead. You go through the water, you're dead. That's 100% tawakkul on God, that you strike your asa and it splits, the sea splits, and you're saved. How? I can't fathom that. That tawakkul is something else. That tawakkul is what I am still working on myself as a human being, because it is something so beautiful, but something so difficult to, when you're going through issues in life, be it financial, relationship, to put that tawakkul in Allah is so hard and so difficult. But the reminder, constant reminder that Allah is there, Allah is there, Allah is there. is what takes you forward in life with everything that gets thrown your way.
Absolutely, I agree with you. This is a very good point that you mentioned. The reminders, like even the Quran, several times if we see, there is always that, what do you say, a tadakur, dhikr, uh, every time innama dhikra, like there's always that, reminder. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also wants us to uh, keep reminding our conscious. Yes, we are humans, insan, nasyan, we forget things. Life, takes us, carries us away into its desires and lust and everything. But to keep ourselves reminding about the presence of Allah, as you said, that is very important. And I want to touch upon a very important part when it comes to the human connection, the human behavior. So, for example, the grief, that we are affected with. Does this grief affect people even around us? And if so, how should one cope with this new behavior? So, this can be also for a person like me or you, and the people who are experiencing this behavior through us, because of us. So, what would your views be on this?
So, we have, when I was growing up, obviously emotions was something that was non-existent. So, no talking about emotions, whatever it is that you're going through. So, when you're going through grief without realizing that you're going through a downer, or being unaware that this is something, it's part of your growth cycle, which I didn't realize, because growth is always uncomfortable. There's growth and discomfort. When you're uncomfortable, there's growth happening. So with me, I know that it affected my family, 100%. My children, my husband, because you could sense the environment at home being very, very, what's the word? I can't think of a word. It was gloom, very gloomy. That's the only word I can think of. Obviously, years down the line, I have realized that when it comes to going through something, any kind of emotion that you're going through, it is so important to talk it out. Communication is the key with our family members. And I think we are actually unfair to our family members the most. I would easily, for example, communicate with my friends or anybody outside, but I would find it difficult to communicate with the kids at home, or let's say if I'm living with my in-laws or my husband or anybody, any relationship, my sisters, my brothers. These are the people that deserve it the most. That if I'm going through something, I need to sit down and tell them, I am going through this. And people that love me will support me through it. Communication is the key to go through any kind of emotional upheaval that you're going through. And that is the most important key. That's number one. I would say also, just like how I talk to a therapist, talking to Allah, that's another type of communication that I think of. And I think for me, I realize this today, that I'm most comfortable talking to Allah when I'm in the bathroom showering. For some reason, I'm sat in the musalla, yes, I can talk, but the inner talking comes when, I don't know why. Is it because I'm away from all the devices, all the distractions? There's nothing else around me to distract me. And so it's just me, myself, and my thoughts. And that is when I talk to Allah. Or sometimes when I'm driving, that is when I'm talking to Allah. But when I'm sat in the musalla, for some reason, I get distracted and I can't talk to Allah the way I want to. And that's a training that I need to start giving myself, because it is supposed to be peaceful. It is a peaceful place to sit on. But I need to now work on that aspect of things, that I need to sit in a place and talk to Allah there. Communication is the key when it comes to dealing with emotions with your loved ones, especially at home.
Yes, absolutely. And as you mentioned, that it's true, because our family members are at home. Sometimes our TV is probably playing in the background. There's a lot of noise coming from the kitchen, so it gets difficult to really focus while we are sitting on the muslo. But I think what we can do is, this is like a suggestion for everybody, all the viewers. If we have even like a separate room which is not being used, or like a separate area, if we can even sort of make like a cozy corner, just so that it's just for namaz. So like you've got your muslo, your Quran, your tasbih, namaz chadar, and some posters maybe of a Rahman Rahim, something like that. And you just make that place as holy as possible, and maybe have a door, like a shutting door, something like that, I don't know. So that even if anybody wants to come in, they would know that someone is praying inside. So no, nobody should be disturbed. And I think let's try to just immerse ourselves and communicate to Allah. I think that also can really be helpful. And this is also for myself, because I've got also my little one at home, and I've got my maid at home. She's working sometimes in the kitchen, and there's a lot of noise. So even if I do want to concentrate, I'm sometimes unable to. And my phone, oh my god, I can't even talk about it. I'm always getting my notifications, my work stuff, or my messages from people. So even if I put my phone on vibration or silent, I know something is happening. It's like you get that tickling sort of thing in you, like, oh, I need to check my phone. But I think that we can do something like that. Like we make a challenge that I'm not going to touch my phone for this few minutes, like let's say 40 minutes, 30 minutes, while I'm giving attention just to my namaz. I'm going to keep the phone aside, and inshallah we try to make our prayers as beautiful and soulful as possible.
Inshallah. Inshallah. Thank you for that.
Inshallah. Yeah, inshallah. This is for everybody. It's for me, it's for everybody. Inshallah, we pray to Allah to grant us the tawfiq. We're all in this journey together, and each of us has our own, obstacles, really, Siddiqa. Everybody has their own problems in their lives. But at the end, as you've, mashallah, beautifully mentioned, Allah is always there. And He is the only one whom we can really rely upon and trust upon and have full faith, because we know at the end everybody will leave us. This world is temporary, but Allah will never leave us. He will always be there by our side. As long as we call upon Him, we remember Him. As the Quran even mentions in several places, I said that, وَإِنَّهُ لَتَذْكِرَةٌ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. We find this in even Surah Al-Haqqa and so many other small surahs. There's so many verses I can't remember right now, but it says that those people who are really like muttaqeen, muttaqi people, Allah always remembers them because they remember Allah. So it's like, when we remember Him, also He remembers us, and we should do the same. It's like a give and take sort of thing. And of course, Allah is Ghafoor and Rahim. Alhamdulillah, we've come towards the end of our conversation. It was beautiful. It was very enlightening. Are there any final words that you would like to share, Siddiqa?
Just that you mentioned about Allah, that He's always there. And all I could think of was the beginning of Ayatul Kursi.
Yes.
Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum. And I'm thinking, how is it we don't realize what we are saying when we read something every single day? And it's just believing in that He is eternal. He doesn't sleep. He's just there all the time. It's just realizing that He is there. And once we realize He is there, even the toughest of challenges are overcome with ease.
Absolutely, very true. And this is the same message that Imam Husayn portrays in Karbala, and Bibi Zainab as well. When Bibi Zainab, after Sham Ghariba, she knew that there was no man from the household of the Hashim left anymore, but she knew that my God is with me. And with that, she faced the worst oppressor of that time in his court, Yazid, and she spoke to him, she conversed with him, and she told him exactly these lines that, do you think that, we have become humble and despicable by the fact that, you are making us captives, making us move from one place to another? Do you really think that Allah is not with us and that He's showering blessings upon you? Do you think that, you have become respectable by committing the crimes that you have done on my brother and on our family? So what was all this? She knew that Allah was with her. at each and every single moment. She was not afraid. And even if anything happened to her life, she was like ready to, submit to Allah because she loved Allah so much. And so these are some of the lessons that, inshallah, we take from the legacy of Karbala and apply it in our daily lives, inshallah. Thank you so much, Siddiqa, for joining on today's program. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and your family, and may you continue to do all the tremendous work that you're doing as a life coach and everything. May Allah give you all the success, inshallah. And thank you.
Thank you so much, sister, for the opportunity and for asking me such beautiful questions. Thank you. I'm truly grateful.
Alhamdulillah, I'm glad as well. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all our viewers for tuning on today's podcast. And once again, I would like to remind you to please like and share today's program as much as possible. Please do visit our soulful website on www.lanternoflight.co.uk. And please keep supporting our inspirational channel and donate generously for our works to continue blossom. You can make a donation at Lantern of Light Charity. The bank account details are on Unity Trust. Our Unity Trust Bank account number is 2048 49 23, and the sort code is 608301. Become a Lantern of Light sustainer and donate generously to be a part of our amazing volunteering team. Once again, I would like to thank you for tuning in all these amazing series during this Muharram podcasts that we've been having. Thank you for supporting all our amazing guests. And with that, I would like to leave you with gratitude and du'as. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.